Hi, good evening, everyone. This is the second round of DLT platform webinar. We will wait for 2 minutes for participant to join in. There are around 45 participants who are already joined. We'll just wait for 2-3 minutes more because we have received a registration for more. Yeah, and then we'll start. So around 80 people have already joined. So we will start the webinar. So basically, we have already done one webinar on DLT platform on 28th, which is before DLT actually coming into effect. So in accordance with that, that presentation and the entire webinar where NSDL was also there along with us is available on our website. So that is in continuation, we will be doing this webinar. Those presentations and everything is available on our website. We will be uploading the presentation which we have done today, and this webinar also we will be putting on our website, so you can afterward also go and check the details. So we will start the webinar with the presentation, why all the DLT and everything has been introduced. So I'll be sharing the presentations. Just a second. Sorry guys for some technical glitch was there. Are you guys able to see the screen? Is it visible? Hopefully the screen is visible. So we'll start with the introduction part with respect to why the um, um, I'm extremely sorry everyone for the technical issue which we faced, but we will start immediately with the introduction part of the circular, why the DLT came into the picture. So basically with respect to strengthening the security creation and the entire market where every asset and everything will be linked, the SEBI came out with the circular on 13/8/2021 where introduction of DLT was provided. This circular came with the recommendation of SEBI officials, depositories, stock exchanges, and TAI members, which are debenture trustees. So now the circular is effective from 1st of April 2022. All the new issuances which are going to come in NCDs with respect to listed nature are required to be acquire this login ID password from respective depositories, update their information, and then only they will be able to issue the ISIN in the market. We will, in short, see how the circular has been drafted. So circular is drafted in around 4 parts, considering the security creation, how the asset cover and other covenants will be included in the system, interest and principal payments, monitoring, and credit rating information. So, and there are separate annexures for this with respect to due diligence as well. So with this image, we'll just understand what aspects will be covered in DLT. So in DLT, first parameter is going to be security creation. So for any ISIN, whatever security will be provided by issuer company, if there are multiple securities, all the multiple securities has to be entered in the system. So first part is security creation. Then comes in charge creation. So the documentation detail, ROC registration, all that information is required to be updated. The third part is going to be covenant monitoring, which is with respect to a non-financial covenant, like if there are DRR, if there is a DSRA to be created, all those covenant will be monitored through the system. Those are required to be updated by issuers and will be validated by the trustees. Same with the financial monitoring of interest and principal payment, like all the cash flows with respect to ISINs will be monitored through the system. Additionally, we've taken specific part as in redemption. So basically, once the entire ISIN has been redeemed, The details of redemptions are specifically needs to be mentioned, and charge satisfaction details are also to be updated in DLT system promptly. So the entire circle of the ISIN from its beginning till its satisfaction will be get covered in this system. Then what parameters are there? Like we say, seen in earlier said, there are 4 parts to the circular. So more detailed on this circular we have already done in first presentation. So I'll not, in detail go into the explanation part of it. We'll just go to the pointers of the circular so we can see the platform. So part A, like, which is security creation, what security is to be offered, how the charge is to be created, whether it's an exclusive charge or pari passu charge, all that information, whether asset cover, what is the value of that particular ISIN security, is all those details are required to be mentioned. Then due diligence, like for initial due diligence, whatever information will be required by trustees. Right now, all those informations are being generally shared through emails and everything. Now, with the system, all that information is required to be updated, and then upload option is also given in the system. So any valuation reports or asset cover reports, all those reports can be uploaded in the system itself. Once the security part is updated, and ISIN has been allotted, most important part before listing is now of the security creation. So security will be created with the document that will be registered with the, if applicable, as applicable with the registrar, and then with the MCA. All those details are required to be updated in the system. Now we'll go through the timeline parts of it. So first, and from the past presentation, what we have done is we have just added the new changes which happened in the system. So I will explain those changes through the operational circular, whatever happened. So first is of course the creation of security for the ISINs. So CDSL or NSL depositories will provide a temporary ISINs to the issuer who have taken the application from NSDL CDSL. For that temporary ISIN, all the ISIN information with respect to security is required to be updated, and maker and checker system is there. So maker will update the security details, issuer checker will check it, and then it will come to DT. DT will update all the information, and then the ISIN will be activated. Till that ISIN will not be activated. For this, there is additional time has been provided through the operational circular, which I have mentioned here. But this is where we can use this leeway of timeline only upon proper explanation to be given to the depositories, the reason, or if there is a technical glitch or some other purposes, or DSC is not valid or something, then only this dispensation is given by respective depositories. It is case to case basis, so that needs to be specifically communicated to them. Then if there is some changes, let's say in a case where some assets security details are mentioned, and DT has some additional information is required by DT, then record needs to be updated by the issuer. Same with respect to ROC. ROC update are to be promptly updated in the system. Due diligence certificate is also required to be updated immediately. Modification is, if there some with respect to security afterward, such modification is also required to be done promptly as early as possible. These are all the timelines with respect to mention of security creation. So again, the asset cover details with respect to are required to be provided at earliest. And then there is one parameter of a timeline for issuer with respect to covenants also. So once the DTD has been executed, all the covenants of the DTD are required to be updated within 5 working days from execution of DTD. And part B, which is monitoring for the same, like half yearly reports, our timeline is 45 days and 60 days. Necessary other document as per SEBI circular or for due diligence, anything is required, that is to be done promptly. With respect to now, we'll go to the cash flow monitoring, which is interest and principal payment monitoring. So in that, this in diagram, we can see that one part is with respect to at the time of creation, there will be all the information of a cash flow will be updated. And in case of a continuous monitoring, what will happen when the payment is made, that date is also required to be updated in the system. So one part is at the time of creation of a ISN and one part is in a continuous activity. So there are timelines. So again, this is as per NCS, the in 1 working days, we have to update the payment status in the system as well. Release of charge will be after redemption. So those are the basic timelines with respect to interest and redemption payment. And last part is with respect to credit rating information. Earlier, the credit rating information was also required to be updated at the time of creation of temporary ISN itself. Now there is no specific timeline, but this amendment has been done through the operational circular itself. Now there is no specific timeline, but all these details are required to be updated by issuer. So once the ISN has been created, issuer can update this information. And if this will be again checked by credit rating agencies and they will validate the entry. So if there is some change or discrepancies there, rating agency will reject it, and that has to be done within 3 days. And then issuer is required to update the correct or modified information again in the system. If there is some subsequent change in the rating, same will be done within 1 working days. And for CRA for checking, again, there is a time of 2 days given in the circular. The most important part which came from the operational circular is with respect to outstanding issuances, what will happen. Those questions we received in last presentation a lot, what will happen with the outstanding issuances. So for outstanding issuances, with respect to DLT platform, all the outstanding issues are required to be updated on the system by issuers by 30th of September. And DTs have timeline till November to verify all the data. So for updation of old issuances, there is a time till September. So this is the short idea of what the circular is all about and changes what happened recently via operational circulars. Hopefully, most of the issuers have reached out to the depositories and taken their by submitting necessary documents, all the registration, because registration has to be taken for maker and checker separately. DSCs has to be activated and all those information, and depositories are helping out all the issuers with required information. There is different landlines and helpline portals also they have established, so you can approach that. So now with this, what we will in this session will do that we'll go through the issuers login, which is provided by NSDL. So we have a issuers login which came to us with respect to testing purposes. So if there are some minor changes now in the system, will not be covered here, but in our previous presentation, NSDL has given the run through for entire system. So after this, you can always go back to that presentation and see the NSDL has also presented that information. So now we will go for the DLT platform. I'll just share that screen just for a second. Hopefully my screen is visible. So this is the NSDL portal for you issuer login. So like we explained earlier, there are two parameters for each login. One is a maker and one is a checker. So we will go through the issuer maker login and just see how the platform looks. Okay, so this is the base page and you have to click on covenant monitoring part. So this is the dashboard. Basically it will show the active debentures, how many are there, because this is a test login given to the DTs. At the beginning we don't have any specific number of issuances mentioned here, but if you can see, whenever the entries will be made, the active debentures and numbers will be shown here. And the pending request, if any, like if DT has given some clarification is required by DT, and if there are some pending requests, those will be shown here. In the ISIN's description, so if you click on ISIN, all the other information, because there is no specific ISIN in the system, we are not able to update that right now. But with respect to ISIN, allotment date, maturity date, all this information will be shown by the system itself. So this is the dashboard created. Then we have to go to transact. So then the first part in transact is create new asset. So with respect to each ISIN, the asset is required to be tagged. In that there are 4 parameters. One is asset details, document details, review and confirm, and acknowledgement, where the number will be generated. So in asset details, if the existing asset is there, you have to click on existing asset. You have to mention a specific date. So all these parameter, asset type, let's say immovable property, then there are subtypes. So all this information is required to be updated in the system. There are nature of asset, whether short name is required to be given, then asset description, if there is a negative lien on the assets or not. If you see, when we click on next, whatever mandatory fields are there, so those pop up. So all the information is required to be filled in. Most of the informations in the system are mandatory one. So type of property, area, unit. So this is additional, again, came through the operational circular itself, where if in the issuer system, yeah, if there is some existing system with the issuer where the assets and everything is mapped, they can give that reference as well. And if there all those codes and everything, they can mention. If such ERP or such system is not there, you have to select no and enter the remark that this kind of system is not available. Same for FAR, this information needs to be provided. If such kind of systems are not there with the issuer, it is not mandatory. You can always select no and provide a remark. If the immovable property is leased one, owned one, all that information is required to be provided again. If assets is owned by single owner or joint owner, if joint owner, that joint owner's details are required to be updated. There is a add new option also. If there are multiple owners of the same property, then you can add the details. The address, asset address, all this information, again, this is as similar to as what information is generally provided in CERSI. So all that information is there. This is the important part where a system will be tracking the value of the asset. So whenever the specific asset cover is mentioned, system will track the particular asset's value and it will be mapped in the system. And if there is some less value or asset cover goes down beyond whatever required in specific term sheet, system will be providing an alert for the issuer as well. If there is some insurance policy taken with respect to property, those are required to be mentioned. Then encumbered, whether asset is encumbered or unencumbered, you have to mention. If there is unencumbered assets, then again details of existing charge holder is required to be provided. So what is the PAN, what is charge ID, so all these information is required to be updated in the system. This is with respect to asset detail. Now that system is linked with next step, once the data is updated completely, and currently this is being a test platform provided to us. We don't have any specific information here, but will in the earlier presentation, all those parts are covered. So in short, I will update the what exactly information is provided in the document details. So once asset has been created, in a document details, you have to upload the valuation. So basically, whatever information will be required for due diligence by DTs, include like valuations or title search report, all those documents will be uploaded in the system, and you have to save that. So DTs will able to see the documents directly in the system. You have to save all that information, and there is a review confirm page. So all this information will be reviewed by the respective maker and confirm, and then acknowledgement number will be generated. And this will, once the asset is been created in maker login, it will be shown in checker login of issuer. So we'll go to now the checker login as well. So most of the questions are coming in the system that we should do one demo of inserting the assets, but that already is available on our website in earlier demo. But we will try, if it is possible, I'll try to add, because there is no specific ISIN provided to us to link it with the asset. So whether we can link an asset, we can check. So we can do one demo. I'll try to do that. I'll share the screen and we'll try to do one demo. Can try, let's say, we'll start with the existing asset. As on date, immovable property, if we take, let's say, residential, nature of asset, individual, residential, home. Something. If there is a negative lien on the same, then you have to say yes and update details. If there is no negative, we'll select right now no negative lien in the property. It's in flat. 100. This is square feet. System. Currently, we'll say it's a single owner itself. Type of ownership, freehold, property ID. We have to specify the landmark. This is same like Sarsai, you have to put some longitude latitude in this. This is like important one. So what is the valuation of the property? The valuation date. This is considering the valuation has to be as latest as of the issue. Let's see whether there is a not applicable option is not available here with respect to insurance policy, I guess. Considering this is a residential flat, there must be insurance. Property insurance. So beneficiary name, of course, will be the issuer name. We've taken it from second till it is for a year or so. And you have to write whether asset is encumbered or unencumbered. Correctly, I'm selecting the unencumbered. If it is encumbered, then all these details again has to be filled in. See? So if something is not completed, I think it will not take us on the next field. Right, this is type of holder. So for this, again, user manuals will be provided by the depositories. So what exactly is expected in this? Let's say this property is in India, so we will write IN. So if it is outside India, all that information is required to be updated. So this is company's legal entity number. Issuers are required to be updated. So this will add PAN to this. Let's see whether we are able to. There are certain things again. So basically, if so any information is not complete in the system will not take you at all to the next page. So all these details has to be mandatorily filled in for this user manual will be available, which you are requested to, get it from the respective depositories. So once the assets is created like this is the first part, which is asset creation. And the next part is mapping that asset to debentures. So you have to basically, if there are certain ISNs which are already there in your system, once you have taken the system, all those ISNs will be, you don't have to specifically search, the search option is given. Additionally, issuers can directly click on search option and see all the record. And then they can map the particular assets to that particular ISN. It is not necessary that every time the temporary ISNs has to be there, that you can click the assets from the search option as well. So this will be the one part where you will search the asset and then map the asset. So mapping of asset will be happening to a particular ISN. So in that there are multiple, if there for a particular ISN, if there is a multiple assets are given, that option is also provided in the system. So once this update is mentioned, you can always go to next step. And same like creation of asset, everywhere the review and confirm option is given. So we all, whatever the information is filled in by maker, He can always preview that, and then the acknowledgement number is generated, and then it will go to checker for checking. Next part is updation of a debenture data. Same like you have to search the ISIN if there is already certain ISINs, then all the data of those respective ISIN will be shown to you in the table format. And then you have to update the data with respect to that particular ISIN. It's basically short of term sheet, what exactly the terms and conditions are there. And then submission of charge record. So again, there are two tabs given in this. One is for the action of maker, where maker will specifically add the charge information. And for your information, it's just the all the record you will be able to see. So one part is for action and one for to checking the existing, whatever the information is already in the respective issuer's maker system. Same with the record of charge. It will be, everything will be available with the search of ISIN, or the once we click on search option, all the ISIN existing ISINs will be able to see in a tabular format. So this is the first part right now. And then currently system includes limited tab where creation of a security is there, cash flow information is there. And in future stages, NSDL and CDSL will come up with the system where monitoring and everything will be covered. So currently for issuers, most important part is basically creation of an asset in the system and linking it to a specific ISIN. So that is the first part of it. And then there is a checker login as well, which we are just trying to update. We'll check if we are able to get the checker login as well, because these logins which are available with DTs are only for testing purpose, which was given long back, and the new logins are only given to issuers. So we're not able to get that. But then new information which is checker is already available on our website in the system. Uh, Basically, with respect to checker screen, we are getting some technical issue. So it is the with checker, there are not many windows. There is only two windows where except the whatever the information has been filled in by the maker. So what we'll do, we'll take few question and answers from the, there are many Q&A sessions are going on, many questions are pouring in. So out of that few, we will try to resolve right now. Okay, with respect to CDSL, same login. We will try to get in touch with CDSL and we'll try to, if we are able to do one webinar with them, we'll definitely try that. And same like NSDL, we will definitely try that. So with respect to receivables, also the receivable in the system, there is an option provided with respect to same like type of assets, where we have selected an immovable property. There is option of current assets, and in current assets you have different type of receivables like income receivable or other investments. So, and then financial asset option is there, where there is an again loan or trade receivable option is available. So with respect to receivables also, system needs to be updated. Then we'll try to take one more question. So one question is whether you have to update the data on NSDL, CDSL, both the portals. So if the ISIN is being taken from one of the depositories, system, so in circular itself, SEBI has requested the depositories to have an interlinkage of the information. So hopefully for the same ISIN on the both platform, it may not be required, but that needs to be clarified from the depository itself. But circular mentioned that there has to be interlinkage between the depository for information. So with respect to pari passu charge, again, there is an option given of encumbered and unencumbered, whether the security is. So we have to select an encumbered security and add the other charge holders, and whether NOC is provided by those charge holders or not. That has to be uploaded in the second phase and then submit the information. So yes, for pari passu also information needs to be updated. Again, most of the questions are with respect to receivables itself. So in for receivables, there are 2-3 type of options are available in the system. So depending of type of receivable companies offering, you have to select those drop downs. There are few questions from the investor's point of view. Currently, as per our knowledge, this information is not directly available to investor. That might happen in second, third phases in future. With respect to, there are questions again with respect to covenant monitoring module. So we have not yet received any specific timelines, or there are not yet a circular has been floated with respect to that. But if once it has been floated or informed to us separately, we will definitely try to have a demo of that as well, how to update the covenants in the system. So I think with respect to receivables, again, new questions which are coming in are with respect to creation of a security where there is securities receivables. In that, so I don't think each customer details needs to be updated. A pool of receivables, which type of receivables are being provided, that pool and that specification needs to be mentioned. Like if these are trade receivables, then with information with respect to specific trade receivables, what type of trade receivables those are, all that information has to be informed. Not each and every you know receivables can be described in a pool of a receivable. So with respect to unsecured insurances, of course, there will not be security part of it, but the covenant and other part will be there. But that needs to be clarified with the depositories, how the system will recognize that. Because all the ISIN which are intended to listed has to be in the system. But currently, specifically with respect to security module has been initiated, like, and ROC and charge module has been initiated. The moment the covenant and other part of the system will be uh, generated, then it will might be able to understand how the unsecured part will happen in the system. And one of the question is whether it is applicable to only listed. Then yes, it is applicable only to the listed. So timelines for updating the information. So if this is a past data, so companies who have existing issuances are required to update the outstanding data by 30th of November. And for the new issuances, if any issuer coming out with the new issue, they are required to take an temporary ISIN from respective depositories and update the data. So before going for a listing, that ISIN is required to be taken from the respective depositories and update the information for new issuances. I'll just correct myself, for outstanding data for issuer, it 30th of September. All the outstanding data is required to be updated. So with respect to receivables, of course, valuation report will not be given, but the asset cover certificate required to be given. The word valuation is basically value of the property. It could be of immovable property or receivable. What amount of value of receivables are being provided is required to be mentioned in the system. And corresponding to that, the CA certificate or statutory auditor certificate with respect to asset cover needs to be mentioned. So there are certain questions which we have received can be answered only by the depositories. So what we will try to do is share these questions to the depositories and try to upload some FAQs once we receive the answers from depositories on our website. So a small FAQ can be uploaded by Catalyst on the website shortly, depending on number of questions. So there are certain questions with respect to timeline for charge creation. So with respect to now, while ISIN goes for listing, before that only security is required to be created. And then for there are timelines in the regulation with respect to registration of charge. Those need to be mandatorily followed. So if there are delays, then that specific delay reason needs to be mentioned in the system. That needs to be discussed with CDSL. But there are mandatory timelines provided in the regulation once the charge has been created. It is to be registered with respective forum within 30 days or 60 days or 90 days, whatever respective timelines are with the respective regulations. So that is with respect to charge creation. There's one more question with respect to is it mandatory to board on both the platforms of depositories? It depends from issuer to issuer. If issuer is taking the ISIN of services of only one depository, then one depository. If they are taking from, it is not mandatory as of now to take on both the platforms. It depends on the issuer. So there is where a charge is created on receivables, how will the entries of customer details to be done? Are we required to do one single entry or multiple entries? So like I've explained earlier, as per our understanding, each customer detail is not required. Those are list of receivables which are attached separately in the attachments. In the system and then security, that particular pool of receivables needs to be mentioned, and the list of receivable can be given as an attachment to the information or details of security. There is no need to enter each and every list of receivables in the system as in security. You can consider that particular pool, provide those details and attach the list as an in the second phase and as attachment. One more for the outstanding data. So what about the NCDs which are redeemed before September? So if the NCDs are redeemed before September, then those are not required to be mentioned in the system, as system says outstanding as on 30th of September. So as per our understanding, we don't think that something which is redeemed required to be updated in the system. Uh, so we will conclude our today's presentation with this, where many of the participants have requested for PPT and a presentation. So link of this presentation will be available on our website along with this presentation, and earlier presentation and webinar is also available on our website, where you can see the entire DLT platform, which is a presentation where it is given by NSDL. So all the login details and how the maker shaker system can be done, the complete demo has been provided in that webinar. You can check that webinar, and yes, this presentation will also be available. FAQs will be uploaded shortly once the details are received from the respective depositories, where the certain questions we are not in position to answer because it's not developed by us. Certain questions will be answered by the depository, so we will try to consolidate the questions and try to get an answer and then upload the FAQs. So this is the conclusion of today's webinar, everyone. Thank you so much for such an active participation. We will try to get the same kind of demo for CDSL as well, but that will take some time. But definitely this has been pleasure always discussing all these market issues with you. We are always interested sharing the knowledge with all of you. Thank you so much for joining the webinar. Thank you so much.